Okay, so let's get started. Thanks everybody for joining. This is Shinya Sakuta with AdviseX, and today I'll be talking about the VMware Cloud Foundation. And we'll be recording this webinar, so if we could hold off on the questions until the end, we'll ask for the questions at the end, and we'll go through those at the very end of that presentation. So let's get started. A little bit about me. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I cover the Midwest region. I'm a solutions architect on the pre-sales team, about 20 plus years in the industry. Been with a little over 6 years with AdviseX, and actually was on the consulting team previously, and I was implementing these VMware stack before I moved over to the pre-sales side. So today we'll talk about the Cloud Foundation. So for many of the IT organizations, gradability and reducing security risks are some of the top priorities these days. And we're asked to be agile and meeting businesses' demands quickly and efficiently, all the while controlling the costs and still achieving a greater security, right? Such a challenge. And the enterprises are addressing these priorities by adopting technologies that are trending these days. For instance, 60% of the customers are using public cloud today, some way or another. Many organizations are modernizing their security tools to deal with increasing threats. And containerization of the applications has picked up tremendously, and fueling the movement to the public cloud even more. And many of the customers are adopting DevOps approach for developing cloud-native applications. But for many enterprises, the majority of the workloads are still hosted on premises today. And an ideal end state would be relying on multiple clouds, including on-premise private cloud. So an ideal state really would be to build a hybrid cloud that is based on a common platform, so that we can use the same tools and processes to provision and manage any kind of workloads the consistent way, regardless of where your workloads really run. And the idea really is to have the seamless integration between a public and private cloud. And with a common platform, the VMware can give you the flexibility and freedom to run your workloads wherever it makes sense the most, and without altering the tool sets and processes. And until now, the only way to really achieve a common platform across the private and public cloud was by carefully designing and building out the infrastructure using tools like vSphere, vSAN, and NSX. But now a faster and simpler path to a true hybrid cloud is available, one that's integrated, automated, and really easy to use. So VMware Cloud Foundation is an integrated hybrid cloud platform. So it unifies vSphere, vSAN, and NSX into a single integrated platform with automated lifecycle management. By integrating into a single stack, it makes building a private cloud really easy. And new to version 2.3 that was just released earlier this quarter, vRealize Suite now integrates with the VMware Cloud Foundation, and further enabling that intelligent operations for infrastructure and applications that we're looking for. And currently, the OEMs listed here on the left side have qualified hardware offerings for VMware Cloud Foundation, while public cloud service providers such as Amazon is using VMware Cloud Foundation to enable customers to deploy VMware VMs in their public cloud. And many of the other providers are doing the same. So VMware Cloud on AWS is powered by VMware Cloud Foundation platform from its inception. And VCF is allowing customers as well as the service providers to build out the cloud infrastructure at ease. So it's clear that digital transformation is shaking up the fundamentals of doing business, right? So companies in every industry are under more pressure than ever to actively engage with their customers and delight and impress them with more personalized experiences. And at the same time, the pace of business is accelerating, and IT organizations are exploring better ways to bring new products and services to market quickly. And they need a modern data center that can provide agility and security and the scalability required to power innovation and growth. So what this results in is a huge amount of saving from both the CapEx and OpEx standpoint. So the Cloud Foundation dramatically shortens the path to a complete hybrid cloud, increasing the admin productivity while reducing overall TCO. In particular, customers who deploy VMware Cloud Foundation can achieve the following when compared to legacy hardware-defined data centers. So 6 to 8 times faster to market by eliminating the complex processes around system design, right? And testing and bring up and configuration, all those. It's a single stack. Also increase admin productivity by up to 2x by automating day 2 operations like patching and updates and monitoring and so forth. And reduce overall TCO. Also eliminate hardware costs when consuming as a service on the public cloud, of course. And you'll be able to deploy workloads with a portability between private and public clouds, right? So they're the same platform, so you can deploy it out to the public cloud and be able to bring it back to the private cloud as easily, or vice versa. You can scale out to the public cloud just as easily. So let's look at the architectures and features of Cloud Foundation. The goal of VCF is to essentially make it easier to provision a complete cloud infrastructure. So removing the complexity, time, and cost associated with building a cloud. You were able to easily provision VMs with vSphere, right? We were pretty familiar with how easy it was with the virtualization, compute virtualization with a vSphere. And what we want to do with a VCF is to allow you to instantiate a full SDDC stack with the same level of simplicity. And we see this as the next major step forward in the evolution of our platform to really achieve this. And Cloud Foundation is built on the proven VMware's SDDC technologies with market-leading capabilities. So compute is virtualized with vSphere, providing high availability and using the resources efficiently, while vSAN is enabling that building block approach with scale-out capabilities. And networking is virtualized with NSX, enhancing security with microsegmentation, while bringing efficiencies in networking, and also using an NSX to stretch your network across multiple clouds as well. And finally, but not the least, new for version 2.3, vRealize Suite is now part of Cloud Foundation and bringing self-service and policy-based operations to the provisioning and management of the workloads. Now, Cloud Foundation is a vSAN-based hyper-converged architecture that has network virtualization integrated in addition to that. So vSAN can run on any standard x86 servers, and you're abstracting the local SSDs and spinning disks into a shared data store. And top-of-rack switches are also part of the VCF. And Cloud Foundation can be deployed in a scalable rack configuration. And the SDDC manager will configure the top-of-rack switches automatically as part of the deployment also. So all these really enable modular policy-based provisioning of infrastructure clusters. So let's examine the hypervisor layer a bit more closely. And what you'll see is networking and security functionality built right into the hypervisor with NSX. So what VMware has done is actually abstracted all of the traditional functions of hardware networking and security, like switching, routing, load balancing, and firewalling, and embedded them into the hypervisor layer itself. So as a result, we really now have the ability to completely rethink the entire data center infrastructure itself by bringing down that networking layer down to the hypervisor. So think of NSX and network virtualization as conceptually very similar to server virtualization, but with more impressive benefits. With server virtualization, software abstraction layer, like the hypervisor, reproduces the x86 physical servers, right? It virtualizes the CPU, RAM, disks, NICs, and so forth in the software layer, and allowing you to programmatically assemble any of these combination of configuration for the virtual machines in a matter of seconds, right? But with the network virtualization, the functional equivalent of a network hypervisor really reproduces the complete set of layer 2 to layer 7 networking services, like switching, routing, firewalling, and load balancing, into the software layer. And as a result, they too can be programmatically assembled in any arbitrary combination, and this time to produce a unique virtual network in a matter of seconds. And this is a hugely transformative capability, right? NSX. It's pretty exciting technology. And by distributing this embedded model to every hypervisor, we create a theoretical building block for the data centers that now has additional networking and security capacity every time you add a new hypervisor or host. So this platform allows us to create what's really can be thought as the network hypervisor, an abstraction layer that sits between the underlying physical infrastructure and a virtual network that's sitting above it. And because each of these networks is isolated by default, and there's no way for them to communicate with one another unless they're explicitly permitted to do so. So now imagine the power of these distributed networking and security services across your entire virtual data center. That each hypervisor, for example, delivers 20 gigabit of firewalling capacity or so. And as you scale out your application environment by adding another hypervisor or a host, you're automatically scaling out your security capacity at the same time. And you're not really adding additional firewalling hardware, right? You're adding a hypervisor, and that scales out your network and the security environment at the same time. So this now becomes a platform that enables the software-defined data center and a bunch of amazing things that we couldn't really achieve before. And also by integrating vSphere, vSAN, and NSX into a single stack, the Cloud Foundation integrates the security from end to end really inherently. So NSX is securing your networking environment, and vSAN with its data at rest encryption is protecting the data, while VM level encryption and multi-factor authentication on vSphere are protecting the compute layer. And finally, the SDDC manager provides a governance and compliance with that consistency and a provisioning and a management piece of it, the lifecycle management. And what really allows Cloud Foundation to build a complete SDDC is the whole SDDC manager piece. And I want to reemphasize that this is not just a bundling of a VMware products, right? But it's really bringing these pieces together into an integrated manner through the SDDC manager. And the SDDC manager really is the guy that's allowing you to build a complete data center stack in record time. So this SDDC manager, it automates the entire bring up, deployment configuration, the provisioning process, as well as the lifecycle management of the entire stack. And new to the version 2.3, you can deploy the vRealize suite components listed here as part of the integrated stack as well. And the goal of the VCF is to essentially make it easier to provision a complete cloud infrastructure, removing the complexity, time, and cost associated with building a cloud. We are familiar with how easy it is to provision VMs with the vSphere. And what we really want to get to is VCF is to allow you to instantiate a full SDDC with the same level of simplicity. And we see this as the next major step forward in the evolution of our platform to achieve this. So here's an example showing how a virtual infrastructure workload domain is deployed. So we first identify the name of the workload domain and the amount of resources to carve out for this particular workload domain. So CPU, memory, and storage, and so forth. And we then configure the performance and availability settings. Then finally, the network settings. And that's it. Simple as that. It is ridiculous how simple it is to deploy really anything from workload domain to the VMs into these workload domains. Everything just a few clicks away. And another key feature that the SDDC Manager provides is an automated, ongoing lifecycle management of the entire stack. And this is achieved through one-click patching and upgrading process that deploys a pre-validated upgrade and patch bundle. They literally give you a 17 gig or so ISO that you attach to the SDDC Manager, and you click one button and literally upgrades or patches your entire environment for you. And this ensures interoperability from version to version, the version to version of each components, right? And without having to worry about manually planning and scheduling and upgrading the scheduling and evaluating those requirements for the upgrades, and significantly reducing the time to apply the patch and upgrades to your environment. And this is a feature that has resonated strongly with customers because it takes a painful process that can take up to several weeks or months and reduce it to within hours to upgrade your environment. And because you perform these maintenance, whether upgrades or patches, multiple times a month, every time you perform these functions, you save in those several days that you were spending on the upgrades, now down to the hours. And you can spend more time on more meaningful, things that matter to your business instead of keeping the lights on. So a typical VCF rack will contain a single management switch and 2 top-of-rack switches, and between 4 to 32 vSAN ready nodes. And while you can start as small as 1 rack with 4 nodes, because it's vSAN based, you need 4 nodes to get started. But you can easily scale up to 256 nodes across 8 racks. So when multiple racks are deployed, the interconnect switches between the racks are added to the architecture in order to provide a high-speed interconnect between the racks. And all the hosts and switches within the rack are required to be the same. So you have to buy the exact same model and configuration of the nodes, at least within the rack. But you can mix the server and switch vendors and models across the rack. So you can, build it with a certain type of hardware, and as you scale out, you can use different type of nodes at the same time. And this really illustration shows that the example of what a multi-rack VCF deployment might look like. And Cloud Foundation are available in these options shown in this slide. So you can deploy in on-prem private cloud model using a certified VCF ready nodes by these manufacturers listed here. Top of rack switches and management switches also, have to be on these qualified lists. Or you can purchase a pre-assembled and imaged fully integrated systems. That's in this middle column here. So they have an entire rack basically that you can purchase with your software already loaded, ready to go. You basically plug it into your existing network and they're ready for you to consume. Or you can deploy into one of the public clouds that is powered by VCF. So what are the benefits of running Cloud Foundation on the cloud? So you now get even more agility by being able to quickly respond to business needs by adding capacity to your private cloud, using the public cloud on demand, and scaling up or down the resources as needed. And you can ensure the application compatibility across both the private and public clouds through the common SDDC foundation. And you have a consistent management experience across both environments that leverages the same people, tools, and skills that you have already invested in. So the hybrid cloud with VCF would look like this. When deployed on-premise, the virtual environments and infrastructure will be managed by customers on the choice of qualified hardware and systems. For customers looking to extend their private cloud to the public, they can consume Cloud Foundation, as where customers will manage their virtual environment and applications through a web portal in the public cloud, while the underlying infrastructure at the public cloud is still powered by Cloud Foundation and is managed by third-party service providers. And this also allows you to build a true hybrid cloud, connecting your on-premise and off-premise data centers that is compatible, stretched, and distributed. So if you want to extend your workloads to the public cloud, you can now build a complete SDDC with Cloud Foundation on AWS and connect it to on-premise, your private data center, through stretched networking with NSX. And you can also move workloads across multiple AWS data centers globally, and they all run in a common SDDC platform through Cloud Foundation. So all of your policies can migrate with your VMs to any cloud, and or vice versa. You deploy it to the public cloud with a certain controls in place, and you can bring them back down to your private data center and keep those controls that you already built out and just migrate them all together back into your private cloud. So there are really few ways you can try out the Cloud Foundation. So hands-on lab is always a good place to start. It's a good place to start for playing with any of the VMware's technologies, not limited to VCF. But there are also a couple other options available for you to try out the VMware Cloud Foundation stack. And you can even perform a full-blown proof of concept also. So please contact your account representatives, and we can schedule these proof of concept so you can push out your workloads in these public cloud and to try out how slick they are. And we'll be happy to discuss any opportunities you may have on this. So that's what I have today, but I'll now like to open up the floor to everybody for questions. Kate, can you enable the audio for everybody over there?
Shinya, if you look in the question panel, there's a question.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see here. Okay, Here's one question. What servers and switching hardware support it? So there's actually a website on the VMware for the compatibility list. If you Google VCF compatibility, it'll come up with that link for your HCL for the VMware Cloud Foundation. It's similar to a vSAN compatibility list, but it'll give you specifics on which ready nodes are compatible for the server side, as well as all the switches that are compatible with this solution. Are there white papers and case studies? Absolutely. We will. Please contact the sales reps, and we have a bunch of the white papers on these, so we'll be happy to share that with you. Do integrated systems support all the features to the latest version of Cloud Foundation? So integrated system, I'm assuming you mean the VMware stack. So yes, when they introduce a new version of the Cloud Foundation, that will include that new version of that stack that's compatible. So if it's the new virtualized automation that came out, that would be part of that new build. So you'll be able to push out the new virtualized automation appliance with the SDDC manager. And every time any part of the components gets an update, that'll be included in that bundled update that they give you. And that is not going to be just the one piece that's going to be upgraded. It'll upgrade every piece so that the interoperability will be not be broken by the upgrade. Can you share more information on integrated support systems? So I guess I'm not 100% sure what it means by integrated support systems, but if you mean that a fully built system, it's more of a similar approach to what Dell EMC builds as the VX rack. So they have an entire rack with virtualized storage and networking and compute already in place. So now you can buy an entire rack similar to that with a VCF stack already installed. So you can base your VCF based on a more traditional hyper-converged like vSAN, or you can base it on the engineer solution like VX Rack, and those are supported as well. Does Cloud Foundation include cloud management capabilities? So cloud management, vRealize Suite really is that cloud management capability. So the VMware 2.3 version of the Cloud Foundation added a capability of integrating the vRealize automation into the stack, so that the cloud management now is the part of the VCF stack. And one person had a comment on private control gives you more control. Sure, it may give you better control at what you may be pushing out, but that may not be the only reason that you provisioning things, right? Maybe the scaling out speed you may not have. So you may have to build 100 VMs today, and if you don't have a compute, you may not have a choice but to build out to the public cloud initially, but bring it back down. And using the technology like this allows you to provision it to the public cloud temporarily and bring it back down without really changing any processes, because you're using the same tool set to provision and manage. So it's really, it may give you a better control in the private cloud, but it's giving you the flexibility and whatever requirements you may have, so you can provision your workloads anywhere you want in the same fashion. That's really what the VCF is enabling you to do. A couple more questions. Which software components of the Cloud Foundation platform are automated by SDDC managers? So as far as the updating and upgrading or upgrading and patching goes, the vSAN, NSX, and vSphere are completely automated as far as the upgrade goes. For the time being, the vRealize suite and the Horizon suite, they can be deployed with SDDC managers, but they haven't been, they are not able to upgrade currently, but that's supposed to come at a later version this year. So the idea is for every part of the stack to be upgraded and patched automatically. Unfortunately, the vRealize suite currently isn't, and Horizon suite currently isn't, but will be pretty soon. Can I install the Cloud Foundation software myself? Unfortunately, no. You need either VMware Professional Service or partner like AdviseX to install that initial piece. But once your installation is done, all your updates and patching, you'll be doing the control. Did I? So that's all the questions I have in this list. Oh, I'm sorry. Which another question? What server and switching hardware? Oh, okay, so I addressed this earlier. So there's a hardware compatibility list on the VMware website. Maybe I'll just pull it up here. So I just typed in VCF HCL, and that'll take us to that compatibility list. And this looks like any part of that VMware compatibility list. But if you just click all, it'll give you all the ready nodes that are available by these companies, as well as top-of-rack switches and the management switches available. So on the switch side, it's really Arista, Cisco, Dell. And on the compute side, it's Cisco, Dell, Fujitsu, HPE, Hitachi, and Lenovo and Quanta. So these are what's currently available on the compatibility list, but obviously they're growing this list all the time. Any other questions? Okay, great. Kate, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Have a nice day.